Hello guys, how are you? I wanted to take this opportunity to have a recap video for some of the things, some of the important things that we've learned in our last two sessions. Uh, this video is going to talk about how to use conditional formatting in your Excel workbooks. If you remember, we had some problems where when we were trying to apply the icon set here in the conditional formatting. So we're going to talk about that as well. Okay, so let's start with some of the things that are in our home menu. Home menu, as you're aware, that if you press on Alt and then you press H, that's where you can see all the options that you can apply on an Excel file. So first of all, I'm going to talk about some of the options that are in the clipboard menu. That is the Control C, Control X, and Control V for pasting, and we're going to talk about some of the special pasting options as well that we discussed in our last sessions. So let's start. So I'm going to be using my keys as well as my mouse just for you to know how I'm working. So first of all, I've got my header here. I would like to bold it. So what I'm going to do is I can do it in two ways. I can either select this with my mouse, or I can use my keys. So say Control Shift and right, so it takes me to the end of where the data ends. So Excel knows that this is where the data ends, so it's going to take you here. And now you can either click here for bold, it's going to bold it, or I'm going to press Control Z to bring it back, or I can do Control B, which is also a hotkey for Control B. And I want my header here to be in the middle, so I'm going to use my alignment option to click here, and then it comes here. Now if you remember, I also showed you how to apply borders. The borders are available in this font sub tab. You can either click here and select all, or you can use your Alt key. So what I'm going to do is Control Shift right and down, so it selects my whole table, and then I'm going to press Alt H, so it takes me to home menu, and the bold and the borders, you have to press B for borders. You press B and it gives you all the options that you can apply on the borders. This time around I'm going to press A. A is for all borders. As soon as I press A, you see the borders have been applied. You can do this in a different fashion as well. If you remember, we also talked about tables. So I'm going to select this table, and then I'm going to go here and say okay, format it as a table. If I format it here and then I say okay, it's going to apply some. Even if I had not applied the borders, and if the borders are part of the format cell or format table option, you will see the borders will come. Let me show you quickly. Let me Control Z and come back. Now let me remove the borders. Alt HB, Alt HB, and if you see here, N means no border. I'm going to remove my borders. I'm going to remove my bolds here. So either I can select like this, or with my mouse, or if you remember, if I want to select the whole row, Shift space, so it selects my whole row. And if I again press Control B, or if I again click on this one, see this one is showing as highlighted B. That means bolding has already been applied here. So if I click here, the bold will go. Now let me select and format it as a table. So I'm going to say Control Shift right down, select my whole table. I go here, I say okay, let's apply the borders, or let's apply the formatting on the whole table. I click here and I say okay, and you see the borders have come in. So tables are a good option to use when you're working on your Excel files. Okay, so let's move on to some of the options that we have for conditional formatting. So let's say, for example, I want to first select where I have my numbers. If you see here, I have applied the number format here, and the number formats are not visible in this column. So all I'm going to go is I'm going to go to home and then press on this comma. It will apply, it will convert it into numbers, and then I can remove my decimal points. Great. So I've selected this field as my numbers field, and I'm going to go to conditional formatting, or I can go, if you want to use your keys, you can press Alt H and L for conditional formatting. This time around, let me select highlighted cells with a rule, and I say okay, greater than. Let's say for example I press on greater than. So automatically it gives you an option how you want to hide it, and it gives you the option, asks you okay, from which amount the amount should be greater than. So I say okay, any amount that is greater than 50,000. So as soon as I press 50,000 here, you see that automatically it is highlighting the numbers that are greater than 50,000. You can use this conditional formatting. For example, if this is your sales data and you have set a target of 50,000 for every month, so whoever has achieved the target, you can use conditional formatting to highlight it. So let me just select some options that I have preset. So I prefer this green option. So green option highlights all the numbers that are greater than a certain amount, in this case 50,000, and it highlights it. Great. Now let's talk about some of the icons, but before I move to icons, since we discussed it slightly last time around and I did some research, I came to know that icon sets only work with numbers or date formats. It doesn't work directly for text, but I would say there is a trick by which you can also use icon sets on text. I'm going to talk about it very soon. So let's now apply the preset icons. You see here, if I select one of the shapes, so Excel basically automatically takes your numbers here and assumes that maybe if you keep your mouse here, I haven't clicked it yet, what you're seeing on this table is basically a preview of what would happen if I select this option. If you see, there are some crosses, there are some exclamation marks, and then there's this tick mark. Automatically Excel is, as I said, is very intelligent, so it knows that okay, fine, any amount which is greater than let's say an average, if you can see, it has given it an icon, but we can actually change that as well. So let's just go with one of the options. I would say let's go with okay, this seems good. Goes with our, let's say, our example, which is, let's say we're talking about our sales data. So let me select this now. Automatically system has Excel has taken some numbers to be the numbers that define whether it should give one of the icons. So let's go and look at those preset rules. So we can go to manage rules, and we see here we've already applied our, okay, this one I was applying previously. I'm going to delete this one. Now we got two sets of conditional formatting that we've applied to this selected area. First one was the green one that we did together, which was highlight amounts greater than 50,000, and then we have the icon set. Now if I go to edit rule, you have an option now that what do you want it to give it a green tick mark. I would say any value which is greater than or equal to 50,000, and instead of percent I would say number. So any amount which is greater than 50,000, I want Excel to make it green. Second option, any amount which is equal to or greater than, or let's say I would 30,000. And the last option is if it's greater than 0 and less than 30,000. I say okay, apply. As soon as I apply, you see that automatically any amount that is greater than 30,000 but less than 50,000, it has given this exclamation mark. Anything which is greater than 50,000 equals to or greater than 50,000 is given this yes mark, and anything less than 30,000 automatically it's a wonderful tool to visually look at your data. It allows you to look at things very clearly.